Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, and you're watching Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And joining me, as always, is my co-host from the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks podcast, the Trav, the Trash Man Martin. I was about to call you the Trash Man, Trav Martin, but no, it's Trav, the Trash Man Martin.
Either way works, bro.
Yeah, that is true. But I like saying Trav, the Trash Man Martin, because it reminds me of
80s wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. And then also joining us is friend of the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks podcast and a former guest on Who's That Cosplayer, Mr. Johnie 5. How are you doing today, bro?
Doing well. I was actually about to ask with the Trav the Trash Man thing if he had stepped into the ring with you, if you were like taking him under your wing into the world of professional wrestling. So
no, he just trashes everything, and like
I don't trash nothing anymore.
That's his moniker, but he isn't going to be trashing what we're going to be reviewing today, and that is Masters of the Universe Revolution. Revelation. Yeah, there we go. I don't know what I was thinking of, but yes.
I don't know what you're thinking either.
People started a revolution.
Hey, because I wanted to see, look, man, I'm butchering it tonight. I wanted to say He-Man, but it's not called He-Man, and it makes sense why it's not called He-Man, and we're going to get into it into today's review. But before we do that, make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks.
And of course, as Rebellious D always says, podcast in the description.
Like,
follow, subscribe. Hey, we did it. Johnny know.
I know last time we did it, we was both.
It was horrible.
But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this, man. So, like I said, Masters of the Universe. The reason why we're bringing Johnny back on with us, we were supposed to have a group of 6 tonight, but
we ain't gonna talk about it.
Hey, it's just the 3 of us tonight, and we're gonna knock it out of the park. But you know, Johnny, he joined us on our reaction video when we watched the teaser trailer to He-Man, Masters of the Universe. I'm just gonna call it He-Man. I'm not gonna keep saying Masters of the Universe Revelation, but on He-Man Revelations, it sounds like a Bible scripture. Turn to He-Man Revelations, chapter 1, verse 52.
Hey, 22 through 26, right there.
But yeah, so it's just like we were excited when we did the reaction video for this, and it's just like the series that came out on Friday, and we all binged it, and it was good. And like I enjoyed the animation, the music, you know, from start to finish. Like I enjoyed it, and like that cliffhanger at the end, like of course, like Trav always gets on me. It had my jaw drop, yeah, just like that. But Trav, so what were your thoughts on He-Man Revelations, like when you first started watching it?
I mean, of course, I knew the animation was good from the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't know that the voice cast was so stacked. It's not something that they promoted.
Yeah.
So I'll give them credit for that. They didn't rely on names when it came to promoting. Instead, they relied on He-Man, who's not really in it, but yeah, they didn't rely on names, you know, and there's a ton of big names in here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, outside of Mark Hamill, because of course Mark Hamill was like their big draw, but I mean, Sarah Michelle Gellar, dude, is the main character in this show, man. I mean, I don't even know The Grudge, I think, is the last time I even saw Sarah Michelle Gellar in something, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we got the chick from Game of Thrones in here, Alicia Silverstone from Clueless.
Hey, there you
Phil
go.
Lamar's in here, Chris Hummer.
Hold on. Hey, put some respect on it. Say Alicia Silverstone from Batman and Robin.
Nah. That's Clueless right there, bro.
Nah,
we got the Allstate guy up in here.
You got Kevin Michael Richardson. You got Kevin
Michael
Conroy,
Richardson,
Henry Rollins.
That's what I'm saying.
Jason Mewes. Of course, Jason Mewes was gonna be in this.
Yeah, it's stacked, dude. So
his one line of dialogue.
Yeah, the voice casting was real. Like the voice casting was great. The production value was great. The story was not good. The story really sucked. Again,
would you say that the story was a stinkor?
Yes, the story was definitely a stinkor, dude. You know, only because like there was no character development, no emotional attachment to anybody. I mean, they say that this was to get kids into He-Man, but I never grew up on He-Man. So, dude, you're bum rushed
Yeah.
with like 15 damn characters, bro. Like right from the get-go.
Yeah.
I don't see how any kid could pick up this show and just pick it up and follow what's going on, dude. It's like you already supposed to be in the know, in my opinion. So, yeah, the story just really sucks, dude. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny?
What were your thoughts when you first watched it?
All right, so I will confess that I was a He-Man fan growing up. So I actually did grow up with He-Man, and so it was a little bit, in a weird sort of way, I'll say it's a little neckbeardy of me to hear some of the answers from Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes talking about like being into He-Man all the time, and hearing about like, oh, like I watched it in like 1981. It's like it wasn't even out yet, you know. And then I mean, and to be fair, it's very easy to mix up years, you know, blah blah blah, whatever. Everybody does that. But then like when you've got like a Twitter post that's out there that says like you were never a He-Man fan, and you're on an interview on your own show where somebody's talking about He-Man and they say I have no love for He-Man, and your response to that is like, yeah, well, I mean, I have no love for He-Man either, but he has a place in the fandom, blah blah blah. So like by your own words, over the years, you were never a He-Man fan. Okay, whatever. Let's still throw that away. And let's, you know, maybe even disregard Jason Mewes' comment in the after show about, you know, Saturday morning cartoons. And I'm like in the back of my head thinking like, now my memory sucks on a lot of stuff. My memory's actually really good on a lot of other stuff. And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't remember watching He-Man on Saturday morning cartoons. And sure enough, He-Man was the first cartoon that they did during the weekday and not on a Saturday. That was the first one that they like syndicated on the weekday specifically and not Saturday. So my memory was like firing. I was like, all right, cool. I still got this. But to Travis's point, yes, right out of the gate, there's a lot of nostalgia factor that they're banking on. Like the vehicles, the character design for a lot of that stuff. It's like if you were a He-Man fan in the 80s, it's like somebody took your toy box and just turned that thing upside down, and all of that stuff was almost exactly like you left it. So I will give credit where credit is due on that, where somebody said it's basically like you pulled your He-Man toys back out and here we are using them again.
Yeah.
And as you were rattling through the cast names, I gotta say, I think that my favorite performance out of all of it was Henry Rollins as Triclops, because
Henry Rollins.
As a person who's like into like, you know, D&D and fantasies and stuff like that, and I'll call it a soft spot for like the theme of like cult bad guys, like, you know, D&D. I'm a fan of that. Like, you know, Warhammer, like I'll have the unpopular opinion and actually like the word bearers as a bad guy because like the religious culty aspect of it, and Triclops being that sort of like angry, like, you know, religious prophet sort of figure of technology was like, that to me was my favorite performance.
Was he new? Or was he from back in the day?
I think he was originally on the original one, right?
Yes, he was originally on it. However, he didn't have like the little like Pope hat edition that they gave him like as part of his design. But and he wasn't really like a religious figure, as it were. The cult of religion that they kind of added to it was a bit new, at least for this show. Yeah. But on the other hand, I feel like what they did is the characters that they've branded as like the main characters, they gave them less development than they gave supporting characters, and then they killed off the supporting characters that they gave development to. So Orko was always a character in the original series.
My favorite character in the series.
Yeah.
But Orko was a character that like often people did not like that character. He was meant to be like the goofy 80s kind of comic relief, the corny humor, you know, the spell's always going wrong. And man, they really made you feel for him. Like when they develop his story and, you know, it's, my name was supposed to be Oracle. But, you know, it's a good thing that, you know, when I said my name, I said Orko and screwed it up so that Oracle, like those expectations didn't stick because I made a clown out of myself kind of thing. And then he's the guy that, like, you know, holds the line while everybody gets to escape, making the sacrifice. And when they brought Roboto on screen for the first time in Duncan's hut, and, you know, Duncan's having his sort of crisis of like whether he's going to help or not. And, you know, he's got this family. It's like, it's not like a traditional family, but he's got this ragtag family of kind of, you know, people that have kind of suffered from the fallout of magic being stripped out of Eternia. And Roboto comes in and has to tell Teela, family can be many things. It's the surrogate daughter that you raised as your own. It's the son that you built to be the better version of yourself. It's the outcast from another realm. Like, dude, to me, that development for Roboto was awesome. And then you know, he self-sacrifices at the end. And like I said, I felt like every character that they gave that to, they then took away. And then if you watch the after show, it feels like Kevin Smith had a hard on while he was doing all this because of the way he's like cheering about how they killed He-Man and how, you know, he gave away in another interview how they killed Orko and all this other stuff. I could tangent on this for a while.
So pretty much it's like, you know, they killed off the popular characters. And, you know, the reason why me and Trav was laughing, it wasn't because of, you know, Robot Man. It was because how you had mentioned family. And now I'll say when I was watching this at the gym and like everybody was in that hut and they were talking about family, look, Trav, I don't know about you. Trav, I was expecting Dom to open up the door and he was just like, hey, wherever you guys need to go, I'm here for you.
Family.
Yeah, for family. You always do it for family. But I will say that, you know, like I think the reason why there wasn't much character development for the characters on the show was because it's like, if you already know who these characters are, then it's just like, you really don't need a backstory on them. And I get where Trav was saying that it's like they were trying to make this for kids, but it's just like we all know that this wasn't really for kids. It's just like, yeah, kids can watch it.
Well, then just don't say it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Trav.
You know, again, it's even with the whole Kevin Smith thing, just lying about being a He-Man fan. Nobody gives a shit, dude. If you're a He-Man fan, no, nobody's going to be like, well, you can't make a He-Man show because you didn't watch He-Man. Nobody cares, dude. So I just don't understand the lying, and I don't understand why he's claiming that they didn't bait and switch people. You did, and there's nothing wrong with it. But dude, just be like, yeah, we hooked you in with the He-Man, and then, you know, we gave you something else, and just admit it. Just say it, dude. That's why I don't understand. Like, who cares?
Yeah, and I remember
you get more backlash from lying about it.
Yeah, and I remember when we had brought Johnie on to do the reaction with us, and he had mentioned that there were already rumors of what the show was going to be and whatnot. And of course, it's just like you always have to take rumors with a grain of salt. And
unless you got the Alpha Legion contacts,
it's like we ended up seeing, like, I mean, like it was all true. Like He-Man, he was only in that first episode, and that was it. It kind of reminded me of Star Wars. Which one was the one that was on the PS3 and the 360 back in the day?
Force Awakens.
I thought you were just going to say the new trilogy.
No, it was the Star Wars game that was on the 360 and the PS3.
You talking about Force Awakens?
Was it the Force Awakens where you played with was it Star Killer? Was that his name?
Yeah, that's Force Awakens.
Okay, yeah. Now remember, like at the start of the game, you get to play as Darth Vader, and like you see like how powerful he is. You see all of the stuff that he can do.
Get hype.
Yeah, you get hype, but then after that, like I want to say it's only like
the Apprentice.
2-3 minutes of the game. Like that's pretty much what He-Man was. It's just like he was there. He like all pretty much everything that we saw in the trailer and the teaser is what we got from He-Man. That's all we got. And after that, he was gone. So,
but not even that though, because in the trailer, like you go back and watch it, like half of what was in the trailer that was He-Man was actually Fakor. It was actually like Fakor from the beginning episode. Like the most badass part of that trailer to me was that scene where he's on Strider, the mechanical horse, and you see him kind of like the lone wanderer in the desert. Yeah. And that to me gave me real like Black Swordsman Guts vibes, like just the lone dude like traveling this wasteland. And then it turns out that's Fakor.
Yeah, and it wasn't him. And then it's, you know, I mean, like I like how they did a time jump, the show, like where everybody was at in the world, and you know, it was just interesting the direction that they were trying to go in with this, what Kevin Smith was trying to do. But I can understand like why diehard fans would be upset. Like for me, and like Trav too, like we didn't watch He-Man growing up. I did watch the 2002 version when it was coming on to Konami back in the day. So I was a fan of that.
The one that Kevin Smith didn't even know about?
Yeah, Kevin Smith didn't even know about it. And the reason why I like that version was because it felt like they added more backstory and lore to some of the certain characters. Like in the first episode, we see Skeletor. He had an actual face, and then he lost his face. And we see how he becomes Skeletor. So I thought that was cool. But this is just like, I guess like with reboots that we see all the time, kind of like with the Halloween reboot that came out. Like for years, you know, Michael Myers and I can't even remember his sister's name, but it's just like they were brother and sister. But in the reboot, they're not brother and sister. She's just a random chick that got away, you know. So I just feel like sometimes it's like because we go decades knowing the history of something. It's just like when they want to make something new, they're just like, okay, like all of the sequels and everything, they never happened. It was just this movie, and then now the new product that's out now.
Well, and alternatively, one of the things that I'll throw in there is because there's almost like this unspoken balancing game that sequels or reboots or whatever kind of play. The alternative to what we had with He-Man would have been another Spider-Man reboot where we get to watch Uncle Ben die again.
Right, yeah.
And again. And again. So, like, to some capacity, like, I can give respect for not having all that bloat of all the backstory between the two. And like I said, I liked the little bits of development that they gave these characters. It kind of helps if you come into it, like, kind of knowing a little bit about them. But I felt like there was just enough exposition that you got an idea of who they were. But when it comes to the main character, I'll call it the main character, since this is the Tila show now.
Oh, for sure.
I think that the biggest part that annoyed me about the Tila show is, for as many franchises as we have that exist within the nerd culture sphere, where people are hungry to have a strong female character, whether it's a lead, whether it's a supporting character, whatever. Tila was always a strong character. Like, she was literally like the person who was charged with bodyguarding Prince Adam. She was there. She was literally right there by his side when he was He-Man and all of his adventures. And the only thing that Tila was missing, that like Man-at-Arms and Cringer and a couple of the others knew, is the secret. So she didn't know his secret. And I kind of felt like in that moment where she found the secret and she kind of basically just went scorched earth on her entire life. Yes, different people process grief differently. You know, she just lost, quote unquote, her best friend and her charge / other best friend, you know, whatever. But to go like completely scorched earth on everything, you know, Orko, you're out. You know, the royal family, you're out. The kingdom that I've fought for and supported this entire time, you're out. Like, boom, boom, boom. Everybody's out. And then the situation that exists kind of parallel to that, where you have like women either in the space or in, like, you know, call it in real life, you know, in like the business world, where they're striving for a position of, you know, whether it's a management position or whether in a case of like this, it's, you know, like a female lead position. And then you have those neckbeards that will sit there and be like, oh, well, having a female lead isn't believable because women are too emotional, or, you know, something like that. And then it's like, thanks, Kevin Smith. Look what you just did. You had this strong female character. You put her out there. You had her have this like emotional breakdown over this thing. I just feel like they could have done that scene better. She could have had her moment of grief. She could have had her fall out, but it was just like emotional volatility.
Well, that's why, again, the story sucks. And just to your point about female leads and stuff, something happened with the Russo brothers like maybe a year ago where the original backstory for Black Widow was she was going to be like a mother to a bunch of kids that didn't have homes or whatever. And everybody was like, oh yeah, very stereotypical to make the woman that's this badass, but really she's a motherly figure, you know what I mean? Which Black Widow shouldn't be. She shouldn't even know how to be a mom, you know what I mean? So that just goes to what you're saying now. You got, I don't know what Kevin Smith wrote or didn't write or anything like that, but yeah, it just seems like you got dudes trying to write from the perspective of what a strong female should be. And it's like, well, no, I don't think you should be writing that, bro.
Yeah, but sometimes when you have situations like that, then you get shows like Supergirl where it's just like they make the women too strong, and then it's just like everybody else is just kind of in the background, especially when it comes to
in all fairness, Supergirl's a bad
I mean,
pick.
but I'm just saying, like, that's one of the complaints that like a lot of fans always, you know, bash Supergirl for, is that it's just like it's pro woman, and it's all of the guys up there, like, they're just pushed to the background, where it's like there's no equal playing field. And then it's like you can kind of see that like on The Flash too. Like, I mean, like, the only strong male lead up there is Barry, but I mean, even with that, I mean, like, he's not really, you know.
Yeah, he got the lightsaber now. So
yeah, he got the lightsaber.
What I'll add to that though, Benjamin, is I think what we're kind of circling the drain on, but not really calling it out by name, is specifically bad writing. It's bad writing because what happens is whether you're writing you know, a strong male character or a strong female character, and then they just kind of push everybody else to the side because, you know, they have the do everything stick. That was the other thing about Tila. She had the Batman stick. It's a sword, it's a pole arm, it's a spear, it's a whip, it's a grappling hook, it's a lightsaber, it's a flashlight, blah blah blah. But anyways, I think that a lot of us, she really was, and then I think that when it comes to, like I said, the thing with the bad writing and bad characters that are kind of just like overinflated sense of importance within the series, I'm gonna have to throw that low ball out there, man, and say put that next to My Hero Academia. How many good characters do you have in that series that they don't have to put another character down to build another character up? And when
you can put Coda down,
they put Coda down?
Yeah, all the time.
Keep moving. Just keep carry on with what you were saying. Ignore this man.
The main point is that in a lot of situations with bad writing is you have writers that will try to elevate the character that they feel is the main character, or it's that their favorite character, and they do that elevation by putting everybody else down. It's like, I'm going to make this character look better and stronger and faster and whatever by making all the other ones the joke, the whatever. They use it as a platform to push one up by pushing one down, and it's like you can have both. You can have all of them have their own strengths and weaknesses, and we're not talking about My Hero Academia, but that is one of the things that I love about that is you have a large cast of characters, and the strengths of one character is not reliant on pushing the other ones down.
Hey, you know what else does a really good job at that? Hold on, let me just say this one thing. You know what else does a really good job at that?
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Fast and the Furious. Fast and the Furious, baby. Family. Each of them got their own strengths, and they do their own things throughout the movie.
Yeah, but those, they're invincible in that series, so it doesn't even matter.
Damn right they are.
But what I was going to bring up is, I put all of that on Horikoshi because when it comes to anime and manga in Japan, these creators, they look at the forefathers or the creations that came before them, and Horikoshi, of course, he's a fan of Dragon Ball and Naruto, One Piece, stuff like that. And Naruto was a show where the focus was on Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, but it's like you had all these other characters, and sometimes you did get focused on some of the characters, but Naruto, they kind of did a bad job once they got to Shippuden, where it's just a lot of characters kind of just became background characters after that. Whereas in My Hero Academia, it's every character gets some screen time. Even though I hate Coda, I read the manga sport, so I'm not gonna spoil a lot of stuff. But when they show Coda in the manga, I'm just I don't care about this. I'm not trying to see Coda's development. Who cares?
Well, you're definitely wrong about that Shippuden statement, but
No, because a lot of people.
We won't get into it.
No, because hey, Trav, that swing got more screen time than 10-10, and that's the truth.
Okay.
10-10, she only had that stuff in the first half of Shippuden, and then after that, it's just we really didn't see her anymore after that.
Every character got a major. Every character got a major. Likes Rock Lee. Well, every character got a major boss battle. Every character got a major boss battle.
But what was considered
and came out on top.
But what was considered canon and what was considered filler? Because Naruto was.
Who cares? We're talking about the anime, you said.
Huh?
Who cares? We're talking about the anime.
Circling back to the point. Whether we're talking My Hero or Naruto, right? And whatever you feel about whatever point of the series, okay. I'll have to give a second place to my own opinion on Naruto to the people who have got more Naruto experience out there. But correct me if I'm wrong. Naruto was more often the butt of the jokes in his own series than any of the other characters. Like in Naruto's series and in My Hero Academia, they didn't elevate Naruto by making Sasuke look like an idiot. They didn't elevate Naruto by giving any of the other characters that by pushing them down and making him look super good and super cool because this other character now sucks, or he just punks all these characters all the time. And I think that's the problem with a lot of these bad writers is they want to write these characters where their main character is the special,
like Dragon Ball, for example.
But so in the D&D world, okay, you've got Drizzt, who is the dark elf ranger that abandons the way of the Underdark, blah 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 blah. And so for a hot minute, he was everything that was antithetical to what his race and his people and whatever was supposed to be. He was effectively, he had plot armor, he would be in all these situations that like, he shouldn't be able to survive in, but it was always just like, one thing after another thing after another thing. You get to this point where you're like, okay, how far removed from the source material are you before you're not that thing anymore? And it's like, I'll say this. As a hobby, I also do live action role playing. I've mentioned that before. Okay. There was a guy that I used to LARP with back in the day, and he had this character that was an asshole. He was an absolute asshole. And he kind of put that character to the side for a while. He started playing this other character. One day I asked him, I said, hey man, are you ever bringing this character back? Are you ever going to play him again? And he said, nah, man. He said, you just want me to play that character so you can kill him. And I said, no, I don't. As a matter of fact, I actually like that character because of who he is. Like, because he is literally like, he is the embodiment of where he comes from and what his people are and so on. And he said to me, when I developed that character, he said, in a world where everybody wants to be the diamond in the rough, it's the lump of coal that sticks out. And he said, and I am that lump of coal. Mm. And I think that we don't have enough quote unquote lump of coal characters because people tend to want to make their character special. They want to show you why that character shines instead of showing you that character that you can relate to, because it's the everyman, it's the every woman, it's the person who has a legitimate struggle that's believable when they come out, and you want to root for them, like when they go through with that hero's journey and what have you.
Right.
It's kind of one of the reasons why, like, again, going back to My Hero, why like Deku is such a relatable character, because at the beginning of that story, he's nothing but a fanboy and a comic book nerd. And he's looking at this world that's not accessible to him. And then all of a sudden it kind of opens up to him. And, you could argue like, okay, they've given Deku plot armor. They gave him superpowers. They made him the diamond in the rough or whatever. But the place that he comes from is that lump of coal. He comes from the everyman kind of standpoint.
Oh, for sure. I 100% agree with you on that. And, like that's just one of the things in He-Man where, I mean, you can kind of compare Adam to that as well. Before he became He-Man, before he got the Sword of Power. And, that's one of the things that I will say that I did enjoy about the 2002 version is like, we did get a lot of Adam moments and it wasn't just always He-Man. So I guess with this series, I guess to some fans, if they wanted to see what it would be like or feel like without He-Man being on the show, they got that. And then also too, Skeletor's not up there either. Like they at the first episode, like they're both gone, and it's just everybody else up there on the show. And I like how, because the Sword of Power is gone and like all of magic is leaving Eternia, you do have these people who are trying to live in a world where it's just like, we don't need magic to survive. And you have the cult, and they're saying like technology is the way of the future. Like, this is what we need to rely on. And we've seen this in movies and TV shows.
I was about to say, we just saw this too.
What do we see it in, Trav?
Was it Castlevania?
I can't remember.
Or was it Dota?
I can't remember, man.
I feel like it was Castlevania that we just saw this whole gimmick of magic's in the past and we have magic technology type stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know you see it in some animes too, where like Demon Slayer, for example, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, some of the characters up there, it's like they're still kind of like in that feudal era, whereas, you have these big cities where like technology is advancing. And it's just like, yeah, like, we have cars here, y'all still riding on horses. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it was just interesting that we're seeing a world without He-Man and without Skeletor. And like, you see how some of like Skeletor's minions are saying, maybe if we didn't listen to him for all these years, like we could have been doing our own thing. Like Evil Lynn, like she was just like, I could have been a master of the universe. It's like, and it goes back to what Dee always says, that monsters aren't born, they're created. And like, that's what Evil Lynn has said when she was with Orko, I'm sorry. That it's just like, Evil Lynn wasn't my evil. It just got added on. You know what I'm saying? Trav, like, how did you feel about seeing Evil Lynn and just seeing her kind of become a good guy and then revert back to...
But not really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, this show did nothing for me emotionally. So I don't feel anything. I thought the ending was cool. you know, I think the problem with this show overall, like why people have a problem with it, is the marketing strategy that they chose was just the wrong marketing strategy. Yeah. If they would have came out and said, we're trying to explore the universe of He-Man, and this isn't just about He-Man, this is about everybody.
Yeah.
It probably would have been received a lot better. But instead, they chose to really ride that He-Man wave, and then when it bit him in the ass, they backtracked. Yeah. And that's why it got review bombed on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's sitting at 29% or whatever it is. And that's because the marketing was just the wrong path to take, dude. That's all it is.
And to piggyback off of what you're saying, like something similar, because we mentioned Dragon Ball earlier, when they tried to move the series further along without Goku, it's just like the numbers went down, because it's like when it comes to Dragon Ball, like that's who people want to see. They want to see Goku. Goku is the main character. It's just like you do have all these other characters up here who we all love, but at the time in Japan, like they only wanted to see Goku. There's a reason why in Dragon Ball Final Bout there's like 3 or 4 Gokus in the game, because they actually let fans choose what characters they want to see in the game. So you get 4, I think it's like 4 or 5 Gokus, and it's just like, why do you need 5 Gokus in the game? It like, thank God we live in the day and age now where it's just like you can have one Goku in the game that's regular Goku, Super Saiyan 2. But back then, it's just like Super Saiyan 1 was one character, Super Saiyan 2 was one character, but they all did the same exact thing, you know? So it's just one of those things where I agree, where it's like the way that this show was marketed, that's the reason why some people were pissed off, because it's just like, no, I want to see He-Man. Like, don't show me He-Man images, don't show me He-Man videos, and then as I only get them in the first episode, and that's it.
So the marketing where they could have gone right with this is they could have just taken the snippet of video from the Wild Hunt of Teela and Adam flying on the discs, and Adam face plants in the mud while Teela comes in first place and gets to talk to Grayskull. Yeah. Boom, end trailer. That's the series right there.
Yeah.
But no, like when you do that, when you use He-Man as, and it's literally He-Man is forefront. It's not just that he's in the marketing. He is literally forefront. It is marketed to you as He-Man, and then they just pull that right out from underneath,
right in the middle,
right there. It's like when you do that, and then you get called out for, like, you know, what you're doing, and you double down and you just dig in, and then, you know, it's oh, we didn't do this, we're not doing that, like that's stupid. Why would we ever? This is a love letter to the fans, blah blah blah. You know, no, I'm with Travis on that, like 100%. Like people would not have been pissed, like if he'd have just not said anything. If when the rumors had started flying, if Kevin Smith had just not said anything, if he'd have just been like, you know, well, you know, we got this He-Man series we put together, and, you know, there's some rumors out there, and, you know, watch it, and make a judgment call for yourself. Like, you know, let us know what you think about it, like after you've seen it. But instead, it's like he had to grandstand, and he had to, you know, I don't know, try to damage control where he didn't necessarily need to damage control.
So now with, because again, this is only 5 episodes, and like they're all about 24 to 27 minutes. And we get the final episode where Skeletor and He-Man are back. They're back in the living world, but it looks like Adam is going to die, and the series, it ends with Skeletor having the Sword of Power, and now he is a champion. He's the champion of Grayskull, and he has his own form and everything. This kind of reminds me of Batman Arkham Asylum when Joker takes those, I can't remember what I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was Titan, when he took the Titan formula, and he became like this huge ass monster. Like, this is what this reminds me of. And, you know, I love Mark Hamill. I love his voice acting, but it's just, you know, we've seen how he can change his voice when it comes to, you know, certain characters and whatnot. And like, honestly, like it feels like that this is the Joker. It just feels like
absolutely.
It just feels like it's a different face skin. Because I mean, like, all right, look at Mark Hamill and Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's just like he reminded me more of Mark Hamill than he reminded me of the Joker. Right. Whereas in this,
maybe this is what they wanted him to do, though.
Well, I mean, it's Kevin Smith. You know, Kevin Smith, he's a huge Batman fan. You know, I mean, like you got Kevin Conroy on this project too. You know, so I mean, and it's nothing against them because it's like all of them are incredible voice actors and
Absolutely.
actresses. But it's
Yeah,
just
a lot of
those,
people said Mark Hamill was a lazy choice.
Yeah, you know,
I'll
I can
disagree
agree
with that. No, I'll disagree with that.
I don't agree with it neither, but I'm just saying to Banks's credit of saying it just sounds like the Joker. A lot of people believe, well, dude, this was just a lazy choice to get an iconic voice actor in there as the main guy, and not really do anything with him.
Because I mean, it does sound just like it's the Joker. That's, I mean, he does the laugh
in parts. It's one of those things I think where it's like, you know, when you're a high profile voice actor like Mark Hamill, I know that I do this all the time where I'll watch shows, I'll hear a character speak, and then immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds like so and so. And so yes, there are certainly elements where, you know, he laughs or whatever and he sounds like the Joker, but then there are certain elements that I think are like removed enough from the Joker that I didn't always hear the Joker when I heard Skeletor talk. Like sometimes you do hear that. Sometimes you hear somebody speak as one character and it literally sounds 100% across the board like the other character. I didn't really get that from Skeletor when, you know, like I said, when he was doing his thing. And to be fair, going back to that trailer, I think the first time when Mark Hamill, you know, did his whole like, oh, you're a champion, like as Skeletor, like I think to me that was like the best like Skeletor moment right there.
For real.
Yeah, we all lost it. Now, you know,
didn't feel the Joker one bit there, but like, oof.
I agree.
Now, if you want somebody that can sound like the Joker and kind of comes close to Mark Hamill, and then that is the voice actor Jason Momoa. And check out that interview that we have here on the channel because like he's an awesome guy. And with that being said, you know, let us know what you thought about Masters of the Universe Revelations in the comments. What you're expecting for part 2. Before we wrap this thing up, Trav, what is your final rating for part 1 of Masters of the Universe?
Yeah, I didn't hate it. It doesn't suck, but it's just not great. It's a good series. It has no rewatch value for me. Again, the production is top notch. The voice casting is terrific, but the story is just kind of meh. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay, Johnie.
All right, so we're doing this on a 10 scale.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this: for as much as it feels like I was panning this the whole time, I will say that I was not bored watching the show. Yeah, and that is something that happens with a lot of these shows. You'll get into it and you're like, oh, it looks pretty. Like the story's like kind of all right. I'm intrigued. I want to see where it goes, but I'm stuck in this filler valley. I mean, with 5 episodes, I guess it's really tough to get into a filler, but you know, Castlevania season 1 managed to do that. So whatever the case is, I'm with Trav. I wasn't a fan of the story. I feel like there was a lot they could have done with the story, like just minor adjustments to the story.
That's all it was. Minor tweaks could have made this a lot better.
Yep. So on that note, like the story was probably my lowest, would be my lowest ranking part of it, but it looked gorgeous. The nostalgia factor was just start to finish was there with the character designs, you know, and you know, the characterization of those characters. And the story, you know, while I didn't like it, it wasn't boring. So when season 2 comes out, it's like, I'll watch season 2 because it's like, I'm still willing to give it a chance to see where it goes. I'm the kind of person where I hope that, you know, when somebody makes a mistake, I hope that they can learn from those mistakes. I hope that they can, you know, level up. So I hope they can level up and do better with that second season. So, I mean, on a 10 scale, I'd probably, you know, if you're a hardcore fan and you're in it, you want to see Heman, I'm going to have to rank it like a 3 out of 10. But if you want to go into it as a Masters of the Universe story and like, you know, you're not bothered by that fact, and, you know, you can just kind of like say like, oh, I want to see where the story goes. Like I'm really not going to be invested one way or the other what they do. Like I might give it more like a 6 out of 10 maybe.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go with a 7 out of 10 because I really did enjoy it. I thought the story was okay. For somebody that wasn't a huge He-Man fan for the original series, like I was able to enjoy this, especially because, like I said earlier in this review, I was a fan of the 02 He-Man version. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next. But, you know, like the both of you guys said, like if they can just make some tweaks to make the story overall better, then I'm looking forward to that. I'm all for that. And yeah, I mean, I would recommend this. I would recommend this to, you know, everybody who's watching right now. And if, you know, somebody asked me like what song you would recommend to me on Netflix, I would recommend this show. If you especially
I will say this though.
What's up?
Just from Kevin Smith's attitude over everything, I don't take it as he's the kind of guy that's gonna take in reviews and listen to him and make tweaks,
not.
bro.
He's always,
you know what I mean? So I expect
season
season 2 to be pretty much this.
Yeah, but you know, he's always been that type of person where it's just like
absolutely.
People will crap on his stuff and like he does not care. Like what was the movie that he did with Seth Rogen? Zach and Mary Make a Porno.
Yeah.
I thought that movie was okay, but like a lot of a lot of people crapped on it. And then Cop Out. Now I watched that.
Cop
that movie
Out's
was
garbage.
Crap. It was horrible. Yeah. And Bruce Willis had,
and of course
go ahead.
I was gonna say he's got a lot of black comedy thriller movies that are very, 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 very bad.
Yeah.
As well here recently. And of course, I was not really a fan of the reboot of
James Silent Bob.
Yeah, just I honestly, I'm not even looking forward to Clerks 3, to be honest with you. So again, you know, Kevin Smith, I'm a fan. I enjoy Jersey Girl, and you know, Kevin Smith has a cutoff date for me. And
I get what you're saying.
He's past it.
I get what you're saying. But yeah, like I said, let us know in the comments what you thought about Masters of the Universe Revelations, and if you're looking forward to part 2. Like I always say, thank you for checking out our reviews and interviews that we have here on the channel. Johnie, let everybody in social media land know where they can find you at.
Thanks again, Benjamin. I am Johnie_5 on Instagram. That's the main place to find me for, you know, cosplay and all kinds of other general nerdery that I'm involved in.
Thank you, Trav.
Hey, that's right. You can find me on the Instagram as well at ZK Audio. You can find me on the Twitter at TRAVIOSZK. And of course, man, you know, Heman gone. They gonna need some help. Where they gonna find it at?
If you're looking for a hero, that's me, Benjamin Banks at KingBenji_Banks on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at Benjamin Banks on Facebook. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. Thank you again for watching this review. Like I always say, keep that pinky up, stay positive. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Peace. Thank you for watching a brand new episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure that you hit that like button and you subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content on our channel. Make sure you check out our podcast where we release new episodes every Tuesday and the video of that episode is uploaded on Friday. And you can find new episodes of our podcast on all podcast platforms. Make sure you follow all the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks social media accounts at Leveling Up Banks on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, we have a Patreon. If you're feeling generous and would love to donate to us, it's at Leveling Up Banks. And huge shout out to our patrons. We really appreciate you and thank you for the support. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks.